and welcome to CN's The Inside Track, a podcast about North America's railroad and supply chain enabler. I'm Shelley Greshko from the communications team, and today we're going to be talking about CN's core value of safety. And with us today, we have Dean Luchik, who's Director of Transportation Training and Development. Nice to see you, Dean. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having me, Shelley. It's a privilege to be here this morning.
Great. So today, I think we're going to do a deep dive into CN safety culture, where we were, how it started, how it's evolved, and what we do to make sure that everyone goes home safely at the end of the day. You ready, Dean?
I'm ready.
Okay. So when we're talking about our safety culture, what do we mean? Can you give us a little bit of background?
Yeah, and maybe I'll start with just describing where we came from to where we are today. And when we look at safety culture, it's not something that we're going to do one day and then not do the next day and then re-implement a month later. Changing culture is something that takes a lot of time. Mm-hmm. And if we go back to, let's just call it 2019, so about 6 years ago, where the culture at CN for safety was a burden. And that's not to say that we didn't care about people's well-being, and we didn't care about people going home to their families and friends. It was very much considered to be a priority that today we were going to focus on safety. Tomorrow we were going to get back to focus on the operation. Where we are on our journey to zero, as we'll describe, is we have a 2030 vision to be an industry-leading organization when it comes to safety and the culture at our workplace. Mm-hmm. Along that continuum, as we move from a burden or where we were avoiding it, let's say, to a point that it's a goal of ours, and where we've now transitioned, and we see it in many areas across the organization where people value safety. It's something that we do. It's ingrained in our blood, and we go out there and we move freight cars. We deliver for our customers, but we never forget about that core value of safety. It don't matter how many rail cars we moved, how fast we got them there. If our employees, our customers, or the community members are not going home safe to their families and friends, it's all for nothing. So I really feel that when you look at 2019, where we felt it was a burden, to where we are today, where we're seeing that we do value safety. It's something we do, and we still have a lot of work to do. We're on a good trajectory, but we have a lot of work to do to get towards our 2030 vision.
Now, my understanding is that the safety vision of CN is built on a number of pillars. Can you maybe talk us through that a little bit?
Definitely. So our vision for safety is 100% an uncompromising commitment for not just our employees, but our customers, members of the community, and the environment that we operate in. That vision for safety is upheld by 3 strategic pillars. Okay. The first one being training, second one, leadership, and the third one, technology. Okay. It's these 3 pillars, Shelley, that really create a foundation of our culture where we feel that we can go to work every day and return home safe without incident. Mm-hmm. It's a culture of commitment. That's a big difference from our employees, us doing things because we're told to do it one way. Government puts rules in place, or we put policies in order. It's so much more than just complying to these things. It's about truly committing and doing it because we believe it's the right thing to do.
Yeah. And some people listening might be surprised that we actually are sometimes even more stringent than what the rules are if you're following the rule to the letter, because it matters that much to us that we operate safely, that we protect our people and the goods that we transport and the communities that we serve.
Yes. Yep.
So when we're looking at those pillars, can we go through them?
Definitely.
One by one and dive a little deeper?
Yep.
Maybe let's start with technology.
Yeah, that's great. So when you look at technology, and maybe I'll start with saying that technology scares some people. Yeah. But the future of our organization, we're truly never going to get to 0 injuries or 0 accidents without our continued investments in technology. Yeah. So some of the things that we've invested very heavily in, if we look at the car side, we've invested in 7 portals across our network. They are positioned in the Winnipeg surrounding area. There's 4 of them. 2 down in the south in Fulton and Memphis, and 1 in the Toronto, just outside of Toronto area. And what these portals allow us to do is as trains are traveling through at track speed, 60 miles an hour in some cases, it's taking thousands of pictures of the underside of the rail car, the top of the rail car, the sides, you name it.
It's amazing to me that we can get a 360-degree view of a train moving at track speed, like that's not insignificant.
Not at all. And still to be able to pick up something that a human eye would never be able to detect.
Yeah.
Hairline fractures or what be on certain pieces of metal.
So I imagine it allows our team, our people who are boots on the ground, to be a lot more, proactive and to go out and fix things before they even become a problem.
That's right. Instead of spending the time looking for it, we know exactly where the concerns are. We go and we validate whether or not the machine actually picked up that defect and say, okay, it's a defect that's not there, or it's a defect that needs to be fixed, and that's where the resources are going to go. The most important thing when you think about that is, 1, making sure the work, we minimize or control the amount of exposure an employee has to do a task.
Yeah.
But 2, that's a customer's goods car that we want to make sure we can fix it quick, get it back on the rail, and move it to destination.
Yeah, so that's on the locomotive side. But I have been fascinated learning about all the stuff that we do also on the track side.
Definitely.
Right? I was learning about wayside detectors and our track inspection cars and so on. Can you talk us through a little bit of that?
Definitely. So when you look at our wayside inspection systems, this is technology that has been around for a long time in the railroad industry. It works very good. It looks for things like hot wheels, it measures for hot bearings, and it detects if there's dragging equipment. This is always going to be kind of that last line of defense to say there is a problem in the form of heat, or there's some kind of piece of equipment. So now's the time to fix it or set off the car or whatever may be at that point. Where our continued investments is into technology like our acoustic bearing detectors.
Okay.
Where this is technology, if you just envision like a set of ears that is on the side of the track that's listening for defects inside the roller bearings of the axles of the wheel sets, to try and detect that there's small, we'll say, shards of metal that aren't moving properly before any heat is even generated. That car is safe to continue to destination. When it gets to destination, let's peel it back and understand, why is that bearing failing so quick? We weren't susceptible to any mainline derailment because there was no heat or friction being generated. So I really feel that our future investments in wayside inspection is going to be around that acoustic bearing detector.
Yeah. And that'll significantly reduce exposures.
And it allows us to go back to even the manufacturers of the bearings to say, hey, we purchased this bearing with the intent that it's going to be able to safely move this freight car from one point to the next. We rely on that. Okay.
So, I find the technology fascinating, and I'm sure we could do a whole conversation about that, but I want to also look at those other pillars. Training is pretty important, and I know it's something that's near and dear to your heart. Can you talk us through, what we do on the training side to keep our people safe, but also to instill in them that core value, that safety mindset every single day?
Definitely. So in 2014, we invested a significant amount of capital money into our 2 national training centers. We have one that's situated in Homewood, Illinois, where all of our United States employees come to train, and one that's situated in Winnipeg, Manitoba, where everybody across Canada comes and trains. When you look back and you see what we used to do for training, I'm not saying it was bad, but we were in hotel rooms, hotel conference rooms, having to bus students or employees to real life rail yards where there is exposure and train them in those environments. Our ability to have this centralized model where we can house curriculums, we can oversee and ensure that the same content and the same type of structure is delivered to every single employee is so critical to make sure they go out into the real life environment and can work safe.
Yeah.
We've got so much equipment, Shelley, whether it's, and think about how adults learn. They don't learn by sitting in front of a room listening to me read PowerPoints. They learn by getting a little bit of theory and then reinforcing it with a practical application. Back in, put another theory layer in there, and then go and practice it again. That's what our national training centers allow us to do.
Yeah, it's more than just being able to watch
Definitely.
a video, right? It's hands-on.
Yep. And it's controlled.
Yeah.
It's safe. There's an opportunity as we think about these folks that are brand new to the railroad industry in what can be a very unforgiving environment. We can train them in a safe environment where there's no trains that are coming behind them to potentially hurt them.
Yeah, I've only ever heard the best things about the CN campuses. And I know that sometimes, our public affairs team will do tours for local municipality to see the centers. I know that our customers benefit from the centers. They're really amazing. So what are some of the critical training pieces that you would say?
I would say the first and most important one is to establish that every employee that gets hired at CN is a leader.
Yeah.
And if we can establish that look, we value them as an employee, one of the first steps they need to make is that commitment to be a leader out there. Somebody that can speak up to a colleague without fear of reprisal or fear of getting into conflict. Speak up because it's the right thing to do. Yeah. Make it personal. Have it come from the heart, not just from the mouth.
Yeah.
Our life critical rule training is so critical. We have to understand, we have 10 life critical rules, for example, in transportation. We have 7 in mechanical, 8 in engineering. Multimodal has life critical rules, or docs. It's these rules that when we describe it, if there's a failure or a breakdown in those rules, the potential for a life-ending or a life-altering event is there.
Yeah.
We can work with somebody that they didn't have their vest done up that day. Obviously, we want that commitment, but I can coach, I can remind, and we can have discussions about the added exposure of not having your vest done up. But when we get into these life-critical rule tasks, it's so critical that there's commitment from day one.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And we also explain those life-critical rules to our customers and to our transportation partners as relevant as well, because we want to make sure that across the line, everybody's going home safe.
Definitely.
Yeah. And it's also, to use an older CN term, it's also about that idea of looking out for each other. That, you're not just responsible for your own safety. We're all responsible for each other's safety.
That's right.
And if we see something that doesn't feel safe or doesn't line up with that core value, we need to make that change. It's on each of us.
Yeah, and that's part of our ever-improving safety culture out there, where we have employees that are comfortable to share, whether it be a near miss or a hazard that's in the workplace. We've got an obligation on the leadership side to make sure that we respond to that we circle back and provide feedback.
Yeah.
And when we go back to the technology, I'll mention this one. We invested in a platform called Enable on Go.
Okay.
Enable on Go is a platform that, if you look at transportation employees, it's available on their handheld devices that we provide them at time of hire.
Okay.
And it's available on a desktop for other functions out there. But if employees see things that are out there that are hazardous, that are potentially going to hurt somebody, or let's say they had a near miss event and they want to share it without being punished for that near miss event, this Enable on Go platform is a way that they can do that.
Okay.
We've seen huge success. It's a platform that allows us to circle back with the person that inputted the report right away. And that's going to be important as we continue to change our culture going forward.
Okay, great. Thank you. So technology, training, we touched on leadership, but tell me a little bit more about that pillar in our safety vision.
I'm going to say it's the most important one.
Okay.
And if you envision these 3 pillars that are holding that vision up at the top, picture this one right in the middle.
Okay.
And we say that leaders shape the culture. The culture that the leader behavior shaped influences the level of exposure in a workplace. And if we look at that fancy definition of safety, it's not what the rule book says. It's simply, we want to be able to control exposure and make sure that people can go home and do the things that they truly live for. So leader behavior is at the front of that, shapes the culture, and that influences the level of the exposure.
Okay.
The best way to describe this, and we've done a lot of work, and we did invest heavily in behavior-based safety training, which I'll touch on in a minute.
Yeah.
It's we want to be that best boss for that employee.
Yeah.
A best boss that isn't out there just being their best friend, but we care about them, but we still have to balance the fact that we have a task to do. We have customers' goods that we've got to serve, but we're going to make sure that we maintain that relationship style, that the way we speak to people is going to be respectful.
Yeah.
The way that we provide direction is going to be clear. We're going to provide opportunity for them to give some feedback. So anyway, being that best boss for our employees is so critical for our culture moving forward.
Absolutely. And also leading by example, I would imagine.
Yeah. That's paramount.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So how do we measure our safety culture? How do we measure our improvement in safety? How do we know that we're getting better and we're getting closer to that zero injuries, zero harm?
So we can do this in a number of ways.
Okay.
And the first way I'll describe is some of what we call our lagging metrics.
Okay.
These are the reportable injuries, the reportable accidents, the main track authority violations that we observe yearly, the days, let's say, since the last fatality or serious event that happened at CN. We can look at all these lagging metrics, and we do see a significant improvement from 2019 to 2024.
Okay.
When you look in 2023, we celebrated our safest year from an injury reportable perspective. And in 2024 was our second best.
Okay.
On the accident side, this past year, we had our second best reportable accident year in CN's history.
Wow.
In this period of time along our journey, we did go a period where there was 842 days where we didn't lose a member of our family.
Yeah.
That's significant considering historically it was 2 to 3 a year. And so I think these lagging metrics are telling us a story that we can't operate this railroad without loss of life. We can't operate this railroad with people going home and enjoy doing what they do every single day.
Yeah.
But the only true way that we're going to continue to see these lagging metrics improve as we head towards our 2030 vision of being industry leading is if we measure the leading engagements that we do with our employees.
Okay.
In 2024, we had close to 380,000 leader engagements. This is a foundational piece when we talk about behavior-based safety. This is the leadership team that, not just the executive leadership, this is the frontline teams, the middle manager teams, the senior leadership that has invested time going out and walking in the rail yard, spending time with the employees shoulder to shoulder in the field. Whether that's talking about a job safety briefing, conducting an exposure reduction discussion, or doing a safety observation where we're observing their behaviors from a distance and then talking with them about it. These are all critical. When we see our leading engagements go up, it's pretty safe to say that the lagging metrics are starting to go down on the other side.
Okay.
Increase leading, decrease the lagging.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. We always talk in terms of exposures. Can you maybe tell me, why we use that term? What does that term mean to us? And how do we work to reduce these?
So exposure is present when you have a hazard. So that could be a condition, set of circumstances, or somebody's actions.
Okay.
And the minute you have people that come in contact with these hazards, we have exposure or we become more vulnerable.
Yeah.
Our ability to control how we work around these hazards or control our behavior so that our behavior isn't a hazard is so critical. The easiest way to think about it is think about, an iceberg analogy.
Okay.
And
I like analogies.
When you look at the tip of the iceberg, this would be all the stuff that we see every day.
Yeah.
If somebody requires a first aid treatment, or somebody reports an injury, or hopefully not, but we observe somebody getting seriously hurt, that's things we see, and it's too late. Okay. When we look underneath the waterline, we're looking at everything that we haven't seen yet. And what do we got to do to get ahead of it to make sure we don't see the tip of the iceberg? Yeah. And I'll break it down into 4 separate buckets. The first one being systems and processes. Do we have the right processes, procedures, standard operating procedures in place at CN to make sure that people are going out there every day and not getting hurt? We look at our facilities and the equipment that we work around. Is it in good condition? Yeah. Do we have clean, well-kept work areas? Do we have rail cars that have properly fastened ladders on the sides so employees aren't falling off? If we do our regular inspections and make sure that the facility and the equipment is appropriate, that's working under the waterline. Okay. The next one would be around this brain-centric topic. And it's, if I was to just ask you, Shelley, and please don't take offense to this.
No, please.
Did you brush your teeth this morning?
100%,
okay.
Yes.
And then if we ask the question, how many times did you brush your teeth on the right side of your mouth versus the left side of your mouth?
Oh. Question I've never been asked.
Okay. These are things we don't remember.
Just set my timer for 2 minutes.
There you go. It's this is what we would define as a fast brain activity. Okay. You brushing your teeth every morning is a fast brain activity. Yeah. An employee walking around a rail yard is a fast brain activity. An employee that lines the 100th switch that they line that day is eventually going to get to a fast brain activity. Yeah. So when we talk about brain-centric exposures, what we're trying to do is get folks to focus on when do they need to engage their slow brains. These are the tasks.
Be more mindful about your tasks.
Exactly. So even something like walking, when we're walking, focus on walking. Yeah. Not reading a switch list, not texting a colleague or whatever that may be. Yeah. It's so critical. It's not that folks are intending to go and get hurt. It's just they get into these fast brain states where they are starting to think about things, the next task that they're going to do. Yeah. Or they've been doing it so many times that it just becomes natural and innate. So remember when I was referring to the leader engagements around job safety briefings and exposure reduction discussions, that's the whole intent of us being out there, is to help our employees recognize when they have those fast brain moments, how can they control them and take steps to slow their brains down? Okay. And then the last one is just around employee behavior. Yeah. And we talked about with our vision for safety that it takes commitment. We're going out there and we're spending some time observing our employees' work to make sure that they're committed. Yeah. Okay. And when we look at all of these leader engagements and we look at the fact that less than 4% last year were exposed behaviors, that suggests that our employees are committed. That suggests that they're along for this ride with us and they feel that this culture is improving and they're more committed.
That's great. Now it occurs to me, it doesn't just end with us, right? We can't be in our safety bubble, because our crews are going to customer sites. And if our customers aren't, say maintaining the safety envelope, that creates exposures for our crews as well. So can we talk a little bit about how we help perpetuate that safety mindset? Because we can be as safe as we want, but we need our customers on board. We need our communities. We need our supply chain partners on board.
Most definitely. I'll start with the work that a lot of the field teams do, a lot of the account managers do, and other folks in marketing. They are out there talking with our customers and sharing what our core values are around safety. And that's the first step around education and awareness. We're going out and doing joint hazard inspections around customer facilities and in our own backyards and our rail yards to make sure that the plant is safe for our employees to go and operate.
Yeah.
And it's important that we do these things, and we have to hold people accountable to making sure that the environment is safe. I'll take let's just take a flangeway entering into a customer site.
Mm-hmm.
This is I'll just break it down. This is
it's a lot of railroading terms. Yeah.
A railway crossing at grade with a road crossing.
Yeah.
Where as cars travel over the tracks over and over and over again, when you think about the snow and the ice and even mud, it compacts down, and it obstructs the flangeway that the train would travel across into a customer facility. So it's important that our customers are aware that that's going to hurt somebody if we don't go and take care of cleaning out those flangeways so we don't derail the locomotive or derail a car or have an employee get hurt.
Yeah.
In addition to that, Shelley, I would say our doors at the campuses in both Winnipeg and Homewood, they're wide open. We have opened the doors and conducted so many tours and engagements events with all members of our CN team, our customers, different stakeholders, community events and organizations, because the more that we can raise awareness around safety and what we do as a commitment to safety, we're all in this together, as you described. So it's so critical. Yeah.
I have to say, one of the most formative things in my career at CN was I did get to accompany an account manager on one of those safety walks at a customer site.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting. It was really, informative to see the amount of care and the degree of attention that we give to helping our customers make their sites safer as well.
That's right. Right.
Because it's our employees, it's their employees, it's everyone.
Yeah. And the mindset that they all go in there with, Shelley, is they're just conducting what if assessments.
Yeah.
What if this happened, and what if that happened and this hazard was in place? Yeah. Something really bad could happen.
Now, our CN campuses offer training for customers as well.
We do, yes.
Yeah. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
So we have regular offerings available, whether it's a customer that just wants to learn more about safety and operation in a non-main track yard or a customer site. We have trainings that are available that they can contact us and we'll deliver.
Okay.
We also have additional trainings where we teach them about the engineering rules, the track standards, how do they keep their tracks safe. And twice a year, Shelley, we open the doors free for all of our customers to come in. One in late spring, those dates are going to be published here shortly, and one in the fall, where we call it our customer appreciation event. And they're week-long events where we have different training offerings available to customers that want to come and just experience the whole safety culture and learn a bit about what they can take back to their organizations.
And if we have some customers listening today, how do they get involved?
I would say first, it would be important to connect with your account manager.
Yeah.
And the account managers are directly connected with our campus team, and we can get all that information out. When we do set up the dates, that is something that we do make available to all the account managers to take away and share with their customers.
Okay. Now, you were mentioning that, our safety journey, our safety vision, and we've mentioned it a few times, is this talk about zero is possible. Zero today. For people who are listening who maybe don't hear that every day like we do as CN employees, can you give us a little bit of background? What does that mean?
So zero today is the most important piece.
Yeah.
Everything that we've talked about this morning, Shelley, around controlling exposure, our leading engagements, going out and making sure that we've got the proper processes in place and we've got this commitment going on that can't just be one day and then let it lapse the next day. It goes right back to when we talked about our journey of safety being, was a priority one day prior to the next day. Can't be. It's a value. It's in everything that we do. Every decision we make has to be with the mindset of, is this safe for our employees to be doing?
Yeah.
And we can celebrate, and it's important to celebrate the successes at this organization. We've had many work groups that went and operated with 0 injuries throughout 2024.
Yeah.
We need to recognize that. But they can't forget what got them to 0. And it was everything that they did on day 364 that got them to 0 on day 365.
Yeah.
And what's going to get to 366 is looking back at the previous day and doing exactly the same thing. So just to sum it up, I think that's why it's so important to call it 0 today.
0 today.
Is everything we do today, what we make important today, is what's going to matter. And that's what's going to achieve that next day of 0.
Now, you talked about, you mentioned recognition, and we have some amazing stories of safety leaders, really, who have had, careers that have been incident-free and so on. Can you tell me about how we recognize some of that?
Yes. So annually, we host a large safety week event where we have a ton of activities, whether it be train trips and whistle stop tours with our senior leadership team, engaging with the employees across our network. And during that week, in the past 2 years, we've recognized 68 people that went and retired 30 plus years without sustaining one single injury.
Yeah. When
we go and we say 0 is possible and everything we do today matters, it's those 68 people that have proved to us that that's just not something we plaster on our walls, that truly is possible.
You're such a wealth of knowledge about our training and how our training has evolved at the CN campus. Can you tell me a little bit about some of the training aspects that we've been able to implement recently and what's coming next? Yeah,
for sure. I'll start, and I talked briefly about, or we had talked briefly about, the recognition for our lifetime leaders at CN. We also have a memorial wall at our campuses that remembers the 69 members of our family that didn't make it home at the end of the day. Those 69 people are since 1995. And what we do in all of our training programs is we talked about this culture. It's not just about sharing a topic that, hey, you need to work safe. Hey, you need to speak up. You need to look out for one another. What we're doing at the campuses is trying to get folks to live that culture as they travel throughout the different weeks of their training programs. Yeah. And there is 2 sides to this continuum or this pendulum that we talk about. When we talk and we remember our fallen colleagues, some of those examples on there are directly related to our life critical rules. And it's an opportunity to show this is what can potentially happen. We need to remain committed to our rules.
Yeah.
And then we go and we talk about the 68 leaders that went their entire careers without sustaining one single injury. And we help to paint that picture that this is what happens when we go out there and we commit.
Yeah.
Dean, Shelley, or any other leader across the network can't be with an employee 24/7 to make sure that they're making the right decisions. We need to set them up. We need to make sure that they appreciate the hazardous environment that we work in and the exposures that are going to be present. And it's going to take them making decisions on their own, having that fortitude to have tough conversations. So again, everything about our training programs is trying to establish a culture, not just a topic.
Okay.
Some of the cool, the training initiatives we've been able to implement, I'll reference 2 quick ones.
Sure.
One is, I asked you about brushing your teeth, and that wasn't for any other reason other than to use the fast brain.
I hope my dentist listened to the 2 minutes piece.
But walking is a fast brain activity that we do every day. We've been doing it since we were 2 or 3 years old or whatever that may be. So we implemented a walking simulator at both of our campuses.
Okay.
This is where we put people on this simulator. We harness them in and they walk on a slippery surface up and down different different surfaces and obstacles, because we're just trying to get them to focus on the fact that you haven't paid attention to how you walk since you were potentially a baby.
Mm-hmm.
It's important that you focus on this. This is a task we do, and we don't want to see you get hurt. We have done some analysis, and we've looked at all of the folks that had not been through a walking simulator activity, let's say between 2019 and when we implemented it in 2021.
Okay.
And then we look from 2021 to 2023, and we are seeing a significant improvement in the number of walking-related injuries
Really?
for that population.
That's great.
That's something we're going to continue to measure because, again, we can invest money in technology and money in new training initiatives. If it's not making a difference, we got to question whether it was really worth that investment.
Yeah.
And the last one I'll share is our Slack simulator. This was something, and I remember our chief operating officer at the time, he had challenged us and said, surely we can figure out a way to simulate this Slack action being, Shelley, if you envision a locomotive engineer that's operating an engine and a conductor is 6,000 feet away on the end of that rail car.
Okay.
And the conductor is giving commands to the engineer to back this train up.
Okay.
As the engineer is operating 6,000 feet away from the conductor, as you speed up and or slow down, there's going to be some slack that rolls in and out between the rail cars, which can generate, in some cases, significant force for the employee on the end of the rail car.
Okay.
Riding a rail car is I would say, one of the most serious injury potential activities that a railroader will do. So when we looked at this Slack simulator and when we implemented, there was nothing you could buy off the shelf. It was something that we started drawing up ideas on a napkin. We had some different ideas that came in from different field leaders. And then we connected with a local machine shop and an automation company. And these two people, or these two companies, showed us how Disney World is so effective because what they can create. And we designed this Slack simulator where now we are having employees, new employees and existing employees, ride a modified rail car in a controlled environment and simulating forces that they would experience in the live environment. To me, we're saving lives. We're giving them the full appreciation for what exposures are present riding cars.
Yeah.
We did do some analysis with this as well, and we said, when you talk about the rule and it says you must hang on to a rail car with a minimum of 3 points of contact. I think what the Slack simulator,
it's the life critical rule.
It's a life critical rule, yeah. What the Slack simulator has done is it takes, forget about what the rule says. When you get on a rail car, what should be in our minds is we are hanging on for our lives. Forget about 3 points contact. That's the minimum. That's the rule. But we get on there, we're going to hang on for our lives. How we position our feet, how we hold our hands, 4 points of contact, looking in direction of travel, the decisions that we make is so critical.
Yeah.
Okay. We did some measurements, and we unfortunately had lost a colleague on January 6, 2021.
Yeah.
And we were able to replicate some of the G-forces that were involved with that real-life incident. And we took that same G-force and we applied it to our Slack simulator activity at the campuses. So now we have the ability to take what happened in a real-life environment and led to a catastrophic event. We can share that with our new employees and have a direct link to this is why it's so critical that you hang on.
Yeah.
And then our future with this, we've now, since implementation in 2023, we've added a virtual reality component where now they put a headset on while they're riding this Slack simulator. And they don't see our training facility, they see Jasper Rail Yard. So it has fully immersed them into
that scenario,
into a live rail environment.
Wow.
So lots of opportunities with the VR. Never are we going to get rid of doing practical hands-on training with VR, but where VR and augmented reality have a space in the future of our training is more and more near-miss type training. Getting our employees to internalize and appreciate that I need to be committed to this.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we talk about our safety journey, how do we know it's working? Are there any metrics or any things you can share with us?
Yeah. The first thing I'll talk about before we go into the metric side is we are 100% committed to knowing what is happening with our culture out there with respect to safety.
Yeah.
Last year, we conducted a safety culture assessment with our United States employees.
Okay.
We continued that momentum in the fall last year with our Eastern Canada region. And then at the end of 2024 into 2025 with our Western Canada region. The results are not all compiled as of yet, but this shows our commitment that we want to hear from our employees what they feel is working, how they feel culture has moved from back in 2019 to 2024. If we look at some of the trends we see in our lagging metrics per se, since 2019, we've seen a 46% reduction in the number of reportable injuries. Wow. We've seen a 26% reduction in the number of reportable accidents. We've seen a 50% reduction in the number of serious injury and fatality potential injuries and accidents, and a 70% reduction in the amount of employee lost days.
Wow.
That tells a pretty good story to say we're on a pretty good path to zero. There are still a ton of opportunities and a ton of areas that we need to focus on. And I think if we just remain committed to all of those leading engagements, remember I talked about close to 380,000 shoulder-to-shoulder engagements with employees.
Yeah.
The more time we spend with our employees on what matters the most, that's what's going to keep driving our lagging metrics in the right direction.
Great. Thank you. One of my favorite questions is to ask people who come on the podcast what their career has been like at CN, what brought them to CN, and how their career has developed at CN. I just find that there are so many different ways that we've become railroaders. Yeah. So tell me a little bit. Tell me your CN story. Well,
my CN story started way later than I think it should have started, but I'm a born and raised Transcona person, we'll say. Transcona is a big railroad community. It's a little suburb of Winnipeg. And I had a lot of discussion with my father-in-law when I was wrapping up high school as to whether or not I go and work for the railroad or whether I go and participate in post-secondary education. So I took that route. I went and I specialized in an exercise science field. I worked for several years, and then I was nearing 30 and starting a family. I started to see I don't have a pension. There's not a lot of opportunity for me where I was currently. So I made a big jump and I said to my wife, I'm going to go be a conductor. And I remember everyone in my family looked at me and said, you don't know anything about being a conductor. I said, I know, that's fine. So I went and I applied. I sat in on one of those recruitment events and I started 3 months later. I remember sitting in the class. This was before the campuses were erected. And
so you were somebody in the hotel room. Yeah.
And I looked at him like, I have no idea what this is all about.
Yeah.
I didn't even know how a rail car moved on the rail, but it was fascinating. There was so much to learn about it. And I was all in. So 6 months after I started, I did move into a frontline supervisor role in Winnipeg Simonton Yard, the big hump yard on the network. I spent a couple years, 2.5 years working as a frontline supervisor. And then I worked as an assistant superintendent starting in 2017. That was where I first started to appreciate that it wasn't just about moving and processing rail cars in a big yard. I was accountable for the Thunder Bay terminal. And when you go out there and you see where these rail cars actually go to elevators that are on the water, that get loaded into boats and get transported to other locations, you start getting a greater appreciation for this whole supply chain piece that CN is so critically involved with. And so that was 2017. I came back into Winnipeg as an assistant superintendent in 2018. And then I was given the opportunity to join the training team in 2019. And I'll tell you, these last 6 years it's been a it has had its own challenges for me. I didn't know anything about training, how we tracked records, how we made sure that we were meeting certain compliance standards, et cetera. But I would say that the best part about my job, and I tell everybody this, is I have the opportunity to meet every single new employee that joins CN, whether that's at the Homewood campus or the Winnipeg campus. And I have an opportunity to kind of set the stage and set the tone for what success is going to look like for them.
Yeah.
And that was a commitment that I made coming from the operations to say, I know how challenging it is out in the operation. I know the work that our engineering, our mechanical, our transportation, our multimodal, you name it, these folks that are on the ground moving our business every day, I know the challenges it has. I know the challenges for the supervisor. That's something I committed I'll never forget. And we've done such an amazing job in the last several years of staying very connected with business, staying very connected with the operations, our customers, because we all got to work together to make sure that our employees are trained, that they can go to work and go home the same way that they came to work.
And I think, your story itself is a testament to that safety culture. You started off as a conductor. You know what it's like. You know what it's like to be working in what our new trainees are going to be doing.
That's right.
Yeah. That's really interesting. Thank you for sharing. So when we're looking at this journey, this 2030 vision, what's on the horizon?
Oh, there's lots.
What can you share?
I think first and foremost, we have to continue being focused on the stuff that we're doing today. We have to continue to focus on all the quality leader engagements that we have for our employees.
Yeah.
We have to continue focusing on doing the inspections and staying committed to our procedures and processes, working underneath that waterline. An opportunity as we move forward, and this is something we often look at, is where do we see people getting hurt? Like what years of service do we see more injuries happening? So when we look back, let's just call it 3 years ago, we seen a spike in people that were in kind of their second going into their third year of employment. More people were getting hurt.
Okay.
So that allowed us to make some decisions and implement training initiatives and different engagement initiatives to target that. What we're seeing now with some of the data and the trends is now it's shifting more to the 4 and the 5 year mark.
Okay.
So again, I very much see a lot of what we do at the campuses with a lot of the near miss type training, the virtual reality training, all these new training initiatives. I see an opportunity, and that's going to be the plan, is how do we take what we do at the campuses and take it on a rodeo, if you want to say, and make sure that all the people across our network have an opportunity to experience these training initiatives.
Yeah.
That would be one very exciting
Absolutely.
thing coming forward.
Absolutely.
Yep. One other one, which we, this would be more geared towards, I would say, the frontline leadership team or the frontline management team.
Okay.
Is we like they're out there every single day.
Yeah. 365 days a year.
Dealing with the challenges of the weather. They're engaging so frequently with the employees. And what we want to do is we want to create a platform that allows these frontline leaders to be able to plan their day a little bit more. With AI coming in, and we know AI is coming in every area of this world, there's an opportunity for an AI platform to take who's working where, what's the weather, when was the last incident that happened, how many days has it been since we've been out and engaged with, let's say Shelley was out there working on the ground.
Yeah.
And this AI platform directs the frontline leader where their priority needs to be that day. Because we know based on what it's telling us, there's additional exposure for that employee. Let's go out there and let's engage. That will be a turning point for our employees or our leaders going forward to be able to just spend that much more time where they need to be spending that time.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be recording at some point a session specific to AI and how CN is leveraging AI. But what I am really fascinated by is the fact that so many of the ways that CN is leveraging AI is specifically to keep people safer.
Yep.
It's really interesting. Dean, thank you so much for coming in today. It's been really informative and really interesting to hear about our safety vision, our safety journey, and our safety aspirations, and that zero today mentality. I feel like, you had mentioned the iceberg. I feel like we've maybe only even touched on the iceberg of what safety means to every single CN employee. So then I have to ask, will you come back so we can dive a little bit deeper into these topics?
Yeah, definitely. Anytime. And I love sharing what we're doing on the training side. I love talking about some of the safety training initiatives that are going on. And most importantly, just being able to talk about the importance that strong leadership plays on shaping that work culture. It's so critical. So anytime, thank you very much for having me today, Shelley.
Thanks for coming.